This is your instructor, Alice Shapiro, for HO152, Human Body Systems 2, for the PowerPoint on development. Now, certainly we could spend an entire lifetime really studying development, so this will just really hit the highlights and try to familiarize you with some of the basic terminologies and occurrences that happen in the process of development, fetal development, so from fertilization until birth. First of all, some definitions. The embryo is fertilization until 8 weeks of development, fetus 8 weeks until birth. Clinical age of a fetus is based on the last menstrual period. Developmental age begins with fertilization, which is 14 days after the last menstrual period. Fertilization, of course, is the union of sperm and oocyte along with the chromosomes that they carry. The sperm contains enzymes that release to reach the secondary oocyte, and when the sperm reaches the secondary oocyte, then the secondary oocyte undergoes meiosis. The genetic information from the sperm joins the nucleus of the genetic information with the genetic information of the egg, and the zygote is formed, which now contains 46 chromosomes. This shows this to you diagrammatically. Please take a look at this and notice the cumulus cells. In early cell division, the zygote divides to form 2 cells. The process of cell division continues for a couple of days. The number of cells increases, but at this point the size of the zygote remains the same. There are some other terminologies. I'm not going to ask you to memorize these, but these are the terms used for the various stages actually before implantation into the endometrium of the uterus. This tells you some other terminologies. Again, I'm not going to ask you to memorize these, but do take a look so you have an overall understanding and feeling for these. Diagrammatically, here is what occurs. Ovulation, fertilization, and then the zygote before implantation. Implantation actually occurs around day 7 after fertilization. The blastocyte attaches itself to the uterine walls. The trophoblast cells digest uterine tissues, and the blastocyst burrows into the uterine wall. So there are cells, the trophoblast cells, that will digest uterine tissue, facilitating implantation. After that, the trophoblast cells become the chorion, which helps to form the placenta. And of course, the placenta, as you can see, is derived from embryonic and maternal tissues where the fetus and mother are attached, virtually physiologically attached. And of course, the placenta is an organ in direct contact with the endometrium. The chorionic villi are finger-like projections in the endometrium which facilitate this physiological connection. The umbilical cord contains the blood vessels which carry blood and nutrients from the mother. The nutrients from the blood of the mother are filtered, and oxygen are filtered through the placenta to the embryo. And this is basically what this looks like. Okay, so this is the lifeline, we could say, between the mother and the developing fetus. Maternal changes. There's a hormone called HCG, which causes the corpus luteum to remain, and pregnancy tests detect the increased HCG in the urine. Estrogen and progesterone are also secreted by the corpus luteum and help form the placenta during the first 3 months. They increase throughout pregnancy. The germ layers, this can get rather complex, so I just want you to get, again, an overall feeling for this. 3 layers: the ectoderm, the endoderm, and the yolk sac is contained in the endoderm. And again, I'm not going to bother you with really remembering what the primitive streak is, but it will be illustrated for you. The mesoderm then is the 3rd germ layer, and cells migrate and form the mesoderm, and this process is called gastrulation. Here is a diagrammatic picture to show you some of the formations of these germ layers. Again, get an overview of this, know that they exist, know that what they are called, but I am not going to ask you specifics about these really. This shows you some of the structures, blue being the ectoderm, red the mesoderm, yellow the endoderm, so the relative locations of these early after fertilization has occurred. This would be interesting for you to note the types of tissues derived from each germ layer. So please take a look at this and get, again, a general feeling for which types of tissues form from which germ layer. I'm not going to belabor this, but the neural tube becomes the brain, spinal cord, and parts of the peripheral nervous system. And this shows you diagrammatically how this is formed. The important thing to remember is that this is where much of the nervous system is derived. All right, then general body structures form around day 28 through day 25. The face develops by fusion of 5 growing masses of cells called processes. This is what the human embryo might look like about 35 days after fertilization and where the various organs, primitive organs, are located. And this shows you again the complexity of the formation of the face, 5 different types of cell segments. The development of the organ system is called organogenesis. The GI tract begins to form at about day 28. The heart develops from 2 blood vessels around day 21 and actually starts to beat. Here are some diagrams of late embryo and an early fetus, about 3 months of development for the fetus. Parturition is the process of giving birth, and it usually occurs at about 40 weeks after conception. The uterus starts to contract, the cervix thins, and there are some changes that occur, respiratory changes and circulatory changes in the newborn. Now the newborn has to breathe on her or his own. The lungs have to inflate and surfactant is produced to reduce the surface tension. Changes in pressure due to the lungs leads to separation of the heart into 2 pumps. And this shows you some of the changes. Please make yourself familiar with the changes that occur at birth in the former fetus and why these changes occur. This is the figure continued. So take a look at both of these figures either on the PowerPoints or in your textbook. Digestive changes also occur. The newborn loses weight immediately after birth, and at this point is capable of digesting lactose no matter what will occur later in life. The newborn is capable of digesting lactose in most instances. There are some rare exceptions to this. Lactation is the production of milk. Prolactin stimulates milk production. Colostrum occurs first, and it contains many antibodies, so it is, even if a mother is not going to nurse, it is good to nurse right away for at least a short while to allow the newborn to ingest colostrum. And here are some of the hormonal controls of lactation. Notice both the anterior and posterior, both the neuro and adenohypophysis are involved. All right, we're going to end with taking a little look at life stages. The germinal period is from fertilization to 14 days, the embryo 14 to 56 days, fetus 56 days to birth, neonate 1 month to 1 to 2 years, the infant 1 month to 1 to 2 years, child 1 to 2 years to puberty, which occurs anywhere between ages 11 and 14. And in our culture, with so many estrogen mimicking hormone like pollutants, puberty can actually occur much earlier. Sometimes young girls begin to menstruate as early as age 9, sometimes even earlier. We are considered an adult at about age 20 until our death. Aging occurs as cell division slows. Neural loss is greatest early in life, and neurons aren't replaced. Collagen becomes rigid and less flexible as we age, and elastic fibers are replaced by collagen fibers in the skin. For example, the skin loses elasticity. Skeletal muscle fibers peak between ages 20 and 35 years old and decline with less activity and with age, so stay active to help to alleviate some of this. Cardiac muscle cells do lose elasticity and blood flow decreases. Again, engaging in aerobic activity will help this, will also help diminish loss of calcium in the bones that could lead to osteoporosis as we age. Death. We all have some concept of what death is. Permanent cessation of life functions. Various causes may vary from the heart stopping to kidney failure, but we define death, actually, medical death is brain death, is lack of really EEG detection of any brain functions. All right, just kind of a little bit of review. Females have 2 X chromosomes. Males have 1 X chromosome and 1 Y. Gametes are sex cells, sperm and egg. They are produced by meiosis. And homologous chromosomes are chromosome pairs. The X sperm produces females because then an X sperm will fuse with an X ovum. All ova contain the X chromosome. A Y sperm produces males, so then a Y chromosome will fuse with the ovum that only contains X chromosomes. So this is a really quick at the end. After we spoke of death, we are now kind of speaking about new life once again. I know this has been a quick overview of a very complex subject. Please take time with the non-narrated PowerPoints. Make sure you understand the concepts and ideas and terminologies that are there, and do contact me via Moodle messaging if you have other questions. All right, we are finished with this.